The Department of Homeland Security is officially requiring all immigrants to register themselves online with the government. On January 20th, President Trump signed the Protecting the American People Against Invasion executive order to enforce a law that's actually been current since 1940. And yes, it has been a law since 1940, but previous administrations have not enforced this law. Because who in their right mind who is coming here while undocumented are going to register themselves with the government, giving themselves up? They're basically telling on themselves to subject themselves to deportation. No one's going to do that. So Trump decided to enforce this order via USCIS, and anyone who doesn't register themselves online with the Department of Homeland Security will be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Now, who is required to register under this executive order? Well, anyone who's been in the country for more than 30 days and they're older than 14 years old. But if you are under 14, your parents do have to register you if you have been here for more than 30 days. Now, once you already register, they will issue you proof of registration. So you have to carry that on you at all times if you are at least 18 years old. Once you are basically granted registration, it does not grant you authorization to be here in the United States. It doesn't give you a work permit, parole, deferred action, work authorization, or even green card status. Basically, you're just supposed to have it. And this is a scare tactic by Trump, obviously. If you're older than 18, you have to carry it at all times. Why do you have to do that? Because you are allegedly subject to ICE deportation, even though that's not entirely true. The executive order states that failure to register will subject you to criminal and civil penalties, but it is not a crime to be here without documentation. It is only a civil violation. So he would have to enact criminal laws in order for that to be enforceable. But it's important to know that a lot of immigrants are actually already registered, meaning you entered on an I-94, you entered on a visa, you entered on parole. People know that you entered and it was documented at some point with Homeland Security. Or you are in removal proceedings, or you have applied for a green card and you've gotten some kind of EAD, meaning a work permit, while you are waiting. You have put your application and your personal biometrics on paper so that immigration knows that you are here. Now, it's more important to cover who's not registered because a lot of people have at least registered information or biometrics when applying for a green card, benefit, parole, deferred action in this country. So who is not actually covered? Number one, it should be obvious you entered without inspection, meaning absolutely no one knows that you entered the country and you basically don't exist on paper. Right, you need to register. Two, people from Canada who entered at a land port of entry. They weren't flying, they weren't at the airport, and there's no evidence of them entering. Three, anyone who applied for a temporary benefit or protection like TPS or DACA. You were in one of those weird periods where DACA applications were being accepted but not processed. However, your application didn't go anywhere because of the whole litigation case when it comes to DACA. So you did not get your biometrics notice. You did not get your EAD. Nothing happened with your application. You were just an applicant. You might as well be uninspected. Now, who's exempt from this requirement? Indigenous Americans. So if you were born in Canada and you have at least 50% Indigenous blood quantum, then you can actually live and work freely in the United States without having to apply for anything, let alone register with the Department of Homeland Security. This also includes members of the Texas Kickapoo Band. So if you're part of that tribe, you're not only not deportable, you do not have to register for anything. You can also live and work freely in the United States. Now, do you need to register? Well, USCIS says you had to as of February 25th, 2025, but they're creating a new form that you have to register with. Do I expect every undocumented immigrant to register? Hell no, absolutely not. You're basically telling on yourself. What's the whole point of this? Trump is not succeeding when it comes to mass deportation. He's failing. There is no way to mass deport 11 million undocumented immigrants. There is no way. They're running out of beds. They're running out of money. We do not have the resources for it. So I believe that he's asking people, scaring undocumented immigrants into telling themselves by completing this registration form so that you can be deported. In the alternative, I believe a lot of his policies have stimulated self-deportation, unfortunately. What do I mean by that? It means that immigrants who are probably fine because he realistically can't come find them and deport them because they're not technically deportable. He has convinced them through his policies and scare tactics that they need to leave, so they have self-deported, unfortunately. Mark my words, and I want you to believe that registration has been a thing for a very long time. It's been a law that has actually stood in place since 1940. No one's really enforced it. No one really cares because it is unrealistic expensive, and stupid, and it's a tactic to scare people either into being deported by the government or self-deporting. As always, I'm an immigration attorney. I'm able to provide legal services when it comes to immigration in all 50 states, globally actually, because it is federal law. I will keep you updated on every single update when it comes to immigration for the next 4 years.